Welcome to Health Kindness here on Northwest Digital News, promoting those vibrant, healthy lifestyles here on the show. Well, Jody Summers, Kevin Hunter here on the program, and we're going to talk today about sun protection inside and out. And Jody, I just to kind of kick this off for everybody, a lot of the advice and more of the advice that we've been getting in recent years is to get less and less sun. And all this concern about the rising risks associated with skin cancer, etc. The advice says spend less time in the sun. So let's talk about the other side of that conversation of what people might be missing in terms of their sun management skills.
That's a great topic. And you know, the interesting thing is, I think of all of the shows that we've done, this one might very well be one of the more controversial ones. Because if we have been led to believe that the sun is our enemy, and that I have literally read on some government websites, no sun amount is a safe amount. It's like, I'm sorry. So before I make any recommendations, just know that this is not medical advice, and you need to always ask your doctor if it's safe to go outside. So.
And he'll say no, but we're going to give you some other information.
Truly, this is not medical advice. Truly, it's not. But and I say that jokingly because it's gotten so silly the other way. But we're going to talk a little bit about cancer. We're going to talk about safe sun protection, kind of from a different perspective. That is for sure. And basically, we are solar powered. We thrive in the sun. I mean, for thousands and tens of thousands of years, people have lived out in the sun more than they have now. They have worked in the sun more than they have now. They have played in the sun. I mean, our whole society has grown up in the sun, and we're spending more and more time indoors. People are on their phones, inside, in buildings, working inside, sitting, and in all of that, skin cancer is on the rise. So it would make sense that if you're out in the sun more as a society, you would have more skin cancer. And the more that you go inside over the last 40 years or 50 years, even the last 20 years, we're seeing skyrocketing skin cancer rates while we're getting less and less sun.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even make any sense.
And then on top of this, so what you mentioned about all this exposure to the sun that we've had for many, many years, for thousands of years. And yet in recent years with skin cancer rates being on the rise, in addition to all of that has been this business model of just about every kind of sunscreen you can think of on the planet. Interestingly enough, there's actually been even a lot of discussion about them that many of them don't actually perform the things that they claim to do. So yeah, here's a good old banana boat, which you're quite familiar from when we were kids, and then Neutrogena, another banana boat product for children. But I haven't actually had problem with sunburn, and neither has my family. But we just kind of manage we don't put stuff like this on and then assume we can go spend 14 hours in open sunshine. We actually spend time in the sun many, many times throughout the day, but we probably manage our sun exposure, perhaps.
And there is a difference between like you said, going out for walks and playing outside and being outside and on a normal day, rather than now, if you're taking your girls on a houseboat in the last week of July, and you're going to be on the water for a week, would it be wise to use some sun protection and to, make sure you're not burning your skin? In no way is any of this suggesting that going out in the sun and burning is good. In fact, if you look at the different types of skin cancer, we're not talking about excessive sun exposure here. We're talking about normal everyday that is actually good for us. Right. And so, speaking of skin cancers, some people don't know. In fact, I even had to look up the different types and what percentages and people have and which one's on the rise and which one is not. So there's two different types. One is carcinoma, which is that like basal cell, which is very, very common. And as we age, we'll have, I grew up in Southern California and spent a disproportionate amount of my time in the sun and on the beach. And we didn't do any sun protection. We were just out there having fun. And so, I expect that as I age, I'm going to, really watch for those spots on my face. And those are really pretty easy to manage. They're not life-threatening. Certainly you want to take care of them when you see them and go to the doctor. But the carcinoma that is pretty simple to, to take off, it's just topical, is fairly easy to treat. And that one kind of is related to the sun. But the type of cancer that is so dangerous, the skin cancer is so dangerous that it's marketed in this same grouping is melanoma. Now, melanoma is a cancer of the pigment cells in the skin, which is different than the very top layer. It's a much different. That's where you're looking for your moles, and you do want to do that. You want to keep an eye out for those, looking for changes in skin. But if you look at the research, it is not necessarily sun related. There's even some, government funded studies, and at the bottom it says, there doesn't seem to be any relationship between sun exposure and melanoma. And even if you look at people, one of the things I thought was really interesting is I looked to see because mostly the carcinomas are on the nose and the face, tops of shoulders, that kind of thing, where melanomas, generally the most common place is on the back and your trunk area. Well, if you're a kid spending time in the sun like I did, generally you're going to have clothes on. They're not even areas that are exposed to the sun like the other type of cancer that is sun related. And so one of the ways to protect from the inside out is using our God-given bodies to protect from the oxidation of the sun, which is we need vitamin D. In a nutshell, the higher your vitamin D, the less cancer, and this includes skin cancer. So it's this round robin. We're told don't go in the sun because it promotes cancer, and yet when you're in the sun, the best way that you can get and manufacture vitamin D is in the sun. But you need sun to manufacture vitamin D correctly in your body and have it go well, is you need sun and cholesterol that makes vitamin D. Well, we're told not to go in the sun, eat a low cholesterol diet, and we wonder why cancer rates are on the rise. We're not getting enough vitamin D. And the best way to get it, and I know we've talked about this on the show a lot, but the best way to get vitamin D is from the sun. It's most absorbable. And then from food, and then from supplementation. So it's in that order. Those are the best. That's the best way. Supplementation is necessary sometimes, but sunshine and food sources are better sources of vitamin D.
You know what I think is interesting, Jody, is the amount of vitamin D that they, like the RDA, recommended daily allowance for vitamin D. Your body will actually produce that amount of vitamin D, I think, in 1 or 2 minutes of sun exposure.
Exactly.
So why is that RDA so low on vitamin D?
One, they were done a long time ago. The vast majority of those. Some of the RDAs have been changed since then, but they're done at a very general low rate to prevent disease. So if you look at vitamin D, and I don't know off the top of my head, is it 400 IUs of vitamin D? I forget how much the recommended.
It's very low.
It is very low. And that amount does prevent rickets. So if you look at the vitamin D disease spectrum, the extreme vitamin D deficiency is rickets. The the vitamin D deficiency for, or the optimal is cancers on the other side. So while
Sure.
that amount of vitamin D protects against rickets, it doesn't protect against the other things that are on that spectrum. If you think of vitamin C, for example, the little bit of vitamin C that is recommended is 60 milligrams a day, which does prevent scurvy, but it doesn't prevent or doesn't help the body with all the other things, collagen production and all of the other things in immune system function that vitamin C actually provides. So every one of these vitamins and minerals has this spectrum. It does prevent the basic disease, the first line of the disease, but it doesn't protect from many other types of things. So basically, I always kind of joke that the recommended daily allowance is like the bare minimum, the minimum daily allowance for just, I don't know, basic disease prevention.
I just looked to make sure I had my information correct, and I was off by a little bit, but it said you'll make 1,000 IUs of vitamin D in about 6 minutes of sun exposure.
Wow. That's
So
fabulous.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. In the wintertime where you have more cloud cover or the sun is further away, it could be a few more minutes. But the point is that you will double and even triple that daily, the RDA established for vitamin D just by being outside for a few minutes. And of course, nobody would say that I was in the sun for 6 minutes and now I'm sunburned. Or would say I'm in the sun for 15 minutes or whatever and say now I'm sunburned. No. And so it's very reasonable that we would go outside and with just the normal exposure. We don't have to be outside in a bathing suit, just shorts and a t-shirt, coverage like that. And
Without sunscreen.
without sunscreen, exactly.
Correct.
And you're making all that wonderful vitamin D to protect you from cancer and all kinds of other illnesses.
And one of the things, I have a lot of clients come that it just seems like more and more people have anxiety and depression, and the vitamin D from the morning sun, the sunshine from the morning sun, actually, if you're out in the sun and you can see the sun without sunglasses, and again, I'm not talking about staring into the sun, I'm just saying be outside in the sun without sunglasses. The sunshine on the back of the eyes actually spurs serotonin, which then makes like a mood booster, and it helps you sleep better at night, because once you get on that circadian rhythm of serotonin, then your body makes melatonin, so many hours later. So getting out in the morning for morning sun protection, just as a health benefit, has a wide range of benefits. And again, you look back at our culture, and we were born and raised in the sun. Our grandparents didn't wear sunscreen. I mean, I'm not saying don't wear sunscreen ever, but they didn't.
Yes. So humans are solar powered, and there's a lot of reasons why exposure to the sun is absolutely necessary, and so getting out of the sun entirely is not a good idea. Talk about some of the things that we could be doing from a food standpoint, a supplement standpoint, and then you mentioned about a few of the home remedies or sunscreens that you can make yourself that could be beneficial.
So what a lot of people don't know is that if you get overexposure to the sun, okay, so let's say you are out on that houseboat for a week. One of the things, if you're going to be in the sun extreme like that, you will want to increase your antioxidants, because sun can cause damage and cause oxidative damage. But if you are eating a diet full of antioxidants, so an anti-inflammatory diet, one that has protection, lots of antioxidants in that food. So stay away from, and we've talked about this numerous times, stay away from hydrogenated oils, refined sugars, processed foods, because that's just adding the same oxidative stress to the body. So if you go with an anti-inflammatory diet and high doses of, carrots and all of the really antioxidant vegetables, you will protect your body literally from the inside out, from the damage that comes in. And supplements can actually, so this is this is what I do personally. In the winter, I supplement with an emulsified vitamin D and K. Actually, it's a drop. And then in the summer, I do get outside, but I actually supplement with a product called axanthin. I can never say it correctly. Axanthin, which is a microalgae that has a lot of antioxidants in it. And the reason is that this particular product is actually like from a seaweed, which helps protect the animals and stuff from sun damage. So you can get that at on Amazon. That's the brand I use right there. But you can that's what I do in the summer. Literally, just instead of vitamin D, I switch seasons and do that one in the summer. But other antioxidants, you can get lots of them through food and supplementation, calcium, magnesium, and the other one would be essential fatty acids. So they are very good antioxidants. They keep inflammation down as well.
Mm-hmm. For people that find it hard to believe that something you could consume would help protect you against the sun, well, we do recognize that individuals with different skin color or different genealogy, etc., are much more resistant to burning in the sun than other people are. Mm-hmm. And that obviously is protection from the inside out.
Absolutely. And, the one thing, and we could go on with this topic for 30 minutes. I had it on my notes and I took it off, but I think this is worth saying, since we're talking about skin color. So the darker your skin is, so Black people who have the darker skin and even, lighter Black skin or lighter, Indian type skin, the pigmented skin, mm-hmm. They don't get as much, they don't absorb as much vitamin D from the sun. So generally, people with darker skin tones have lower vitamin D levels. Mm-hmm. If you look at the research, people who have skin cancer, even though, so people who have skin cancer, the lower the vitamin D level, the more aggressive that cancer can be, any kind of cancer. Mm-hmm. So the more important part of that is that if your skin is really dark, you actually need more vitamin D than somebody who is really fair, mm-hmm. because you're just not absorbing it as and again, so many interesting studies on the vitamin D part of sunshine.
So that we don't run out of time, visit a little bit about vitamin C spray and some of the other oils that you recommend somebody use.
So one of the reasons I added this toward the end is because more and more studies are coming about environmental. This has nothing to do with our health, but the sunscreens are actually damaging our environment. Some of the coral reefs and some of the things in Florida, all of those things they can be damaged by the sunscreen. Mm-hmm. That's on the market. So if you want to use sunscreen, which there's certainly a time and a place for that, especially if, on the face, if you're going to be in the sun for wrinkling and things, there are natural things that you can do. And so one of them is use a liquid aloe vera and put in buffered vitamin C. So buffered means it comes with minerals in it, calcium and magnesium, that kind of thing, mm-hmm. and put it in a bottle, a spray bottle. Carrot seed essential oil actually has a natural SPF of about 40. So mm-hmm. you can put a few drops of that in there, shake it up. You can even add coconut oil, has a very low, it's very low, but like 8 or 10 SPF. Shea butter has a very low SPF, and red raspberry oil has a much higher SPF. So if you want to put those in a spray bottle or in a lotion container, it's much safer for the environment. And there really are natural blockage, things that you can do so you don't burn, because that's not what we're promoting here, mm-hmm. That are still good for the environment.
Yeah. So somebody who, by no choice of their own, but has to spend 7-8 hours a day, maybe shingling a roof, might consider putting on some sunscreen.
Absolutely. And a hat. I mean, you don't want to mm-hmm. be dumb in the sun, but you do. The flip side of that, and sometimes I think we take things too far, is, when you read that no sun exposure is safe sun exposure, I'm like, who wrote that? Like, who even?
That's bizarre. Well, I hope everybody got some good information out of this and does a little bit of their own research on this subject as well, because sunshine is so important, not just in terms of preventing skin cancer, which we're hearing all the arguments around sun causing skin cancer, But not only is exposure to sun important to preventing skin cancer, but it's also important to our overall health and longevity. We are so much happier as human beings when we see the sun every day. So recommend that you do it too. All right, Kevin Hunter and Jody Summers here on Health Kindness. Thanks to everybody who joined us here on the broadcast. Get out in the sun. We'll see you later.
This concludes today's live programming on Northwest Digital News. Thanks for joining us for this special broadcast. Heard around the world in more than 70 countries on YouTube, Instagram, Patreon, Facebook, and Twitch TV. If you enjoyed a story or guest we had here on Northwest Digital News and would like to strut your stuff on the broadcast, email us today at wainfo2017@gmail.com or call or text 360-545-3501. We're always interested in unique stories, topics, and guests to share with our worldwide audience. Before you go, don't forget to give us a big thumbs up and comment on the live stream. And for those of you who'd like to financially support the broadcast, you can do so at patreon.com/Northwest Digital News. We thank you for your patronage. On behalf of Chris Bornstead, Kyle Torgeson, Stephanie Hunter, and all the people that made this broadcast possible, I'm Kevin Hunter. Till next time, take care.